We're in the midst of the information age. Everybody knows about the information age. And many people also understand that we're in the midst of a grand evolution of consciousness. It is a spiritual evolution, and it is indeed the spiritual evolution that has brought about the evolution of consciousness and opened the way for new information to flood our universe. Information that has accelerated discoveries in technology, communication, science, health, everything really that we are aware of in our reality. And also information about being a human being, what that means, what that entails. New information about the spiritual nature of human beings. The information age also has to do with emotions. There is an emotional evolution taking place. There is a longing, a desire, a hunger and thirst that has been awakened in every single human being on our planet, whether they are aware of it or not. For many millions and millions of people, that has prompted them to seek their own spiritual path. And for many people, for most people, that means returning to what they know about spirituality, which has to do with religion. But for many others, they're looking for new sources of information, and indeed new information about how to be a spiritual being in a new way. Just the other day, I picked up my local Orange County Register newspaper, and as I was reading through it, I came across an article by the Associated Press that talked about how Christianity is still the world's largest religion, although it has diminished a slight amount in percentage. It's now about 31% of the world population. But interestingly, those described as non-religious people, in other words, those people who have not identified themselves as belonging to any particular organized religion, that group used to be about 3 million in number worldwide in 1900. But according to the statistics reported in this article, now it's estimated that worldwide there are about 768 million people who don't identify, don't relate themselves to a particular organized religion. So that growth in that area of the population, moving away from organized religion to what is now, I think, about 12% of the current population in the world. Today, the focus of my show is spirituality in the information age, and this is part 2. The name of this show is Living Wisdom, and I'm Patty Paul. In order to understand this transformation that's taking place, this spiritual transformation, it helps to see what religion consists of, what that means. Because for so many people, for oh so long, religion and spirituality are synonymous. Religion, any religion, is a belief system. It is an invention, so to speak, of those who share similar beliefs, and they have formed a structure of sorts, a structure of religious tenets, rules, guidelines, just a structure of beliefs And at the core of that structure, at the core of that organized religion, is a spiritual flame. In our world, we have about 5 or 6 major organized religions worldwide. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Christianity now is the, shall we say, most popular of those belief systems. But as we know, in Christianity, that is quite an encompassing word. It takes in the Catholic religion and those who call themselves born-again Christians, Methodists, Protestants, all of the offshoots, all of the aspects of what is known to be Christian. And they base their beliefs primarily on the writings of the Bible. The other major religions, of course, are Hebrewism, Judaism, Islam, the Hindu beliefs, Buddhism. Those major belief systems. And those belief systems, those religions have been around for hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years. They all are products, so to speak. They all arise from the prevailing mindset that has been a part of our physical world for the last 2, 4, 6,000 years, that is based on a patriarchal, hierarchical belief system. And along the way, that patriarchal belief system got twisted and distorted into male chauvinism. The belief systems, with their various spiritual flames at the core, have in some cases even moved away from their own spiritual goals. And the spiritual flame that once they were centered around, in some cases, has diminished to but a glowing ember. Evidence of that is prevalent in our world. When you look around the world at what's happening, where various religious factions are fighting over territory, where there is a lack of compassion, a lack of love, a lack of allowing, that shows us that the real spiritual flame has flickered and almost died. So in this wonderful information age, which is a product of the spiritual evolution that's taking place, that flame is beginning to burn brighter within each of us. For many, the only way of expressing or traveling their spiritual path is to return to the traditional religions. But for all those millions of others who have not found the answers that they were seeking, for that growing population of the, quote, non-religious, as was mentioned in this Associated Press article that I opened with, those people, those millions and millions of people, are seeking their own spirituality in a more independent way. In some cases, I'm quite sure, they identify themselves as either agnostics, meaning they're not sure what they believe in, or if there is any kind of spirituality that exists beyond the physical plane. For others, they identify themselves as atheists, which is a belief that there is no spiritual connection to any higher source. To understand that whether one identifies oneself as an agnostic or an atheist, that also is an expression about spirituality. It's limited. It kind of cuts one off from further exploration, especially if you call yourself an atheist. The door is shut by you in that way. But what I'd like to focus on today is the many millions and millions of people around the world who have not found the satisfying answers, the fulfilling answers from the traditional sources, and who are out there seeking and searching for new answers. A few years ago, I wrote a book called A New Spirituality Beyond Religion. In this book, I offer some of the information that I personally have found on my own spiritual path, which has led me away from organized religion. My book is available in libraries, but there are also many, many sources of information that are non-traditional. It's important to understand that this is not about being better than or less than other people, but to understand that each of us are individuals, each of us on our own particular path, finding the answers that make sense to us, finding our own truth. There is no such thing as the truth. And I believe that a lot of the organized religions have closed the doors, so to speak, have narrowed their own vision by claiming that they alone know the truth. And to find their truth, we must believe exactly as they do. This brings up another interesting phenomenon in our current world. This idea of cloning, which is a big issue. It's a hot button issue. And we are on the verge, scientists are on the verge of cloning human beings. They've done it with sheep. I think they've done it with other animals. And there's certainly a lot of talk about whether scientists should go ahead and attempt to clone human beings. There are certain spiritual issues about that. My particular understanding about it is this, that in our world, we human beings, as we progress in lifetime after lifetime, may become so disassociated from our own souls, that is, our own spiritual fire inside begins to flicker and diminish, and we get so cut off from our own souls, so cut off from our own emotions of compassion, remorse, value, love, that we become what is known as sociopaths. And we have seen in our world what sociopathic behavior can lead to. It can lead to serial killings. It can lead to genocide. It can lead to other, shall we say, subhuman behavior conducted by one or more people against other human beings without remorse, without compassion, without a sense of value. Getting back to this idea of cloning, if scientists go ahead and begin to clone human beings in little petri dishes, there will be no soul connection. The soul is a part of who we are as human beings with a consciousness. Human beings who make a conscious choice to be human, to come into a lifetime, to have lifetime after lifetime as part of the learning process. Human beings with a soul available, even though they may be quite cut off from it by their own doing, quite detached from it by their own choice. But with the cloning by scientists of human beings in a laboratory, they will be less than the spiritual beings who have a soul. This issue of cloning does have a tie-in with organized religion, because most caring people, most thinking people are opposed to the cloning of human beings by scientists. Even if they can't put words to their reason, they have a gut feeling about it, that it is not the desirable way to go. But let's look at some of the major religions that have prevailed throughout the world for century after century. Some of them are devoted to doing a kind of spiritual cloning, recruiting other people to believe exactly as they do, exactly as their hierarchical authorities say is the true belief, the true morality, the true Ten Commandments, for instance. So in a sense, there has been that kind of cloning going on. It's important for us, each of us, as we explore our own spiritual journey, to begin to question in depth these belief systems that have prevailed for so long, and to make our own decision about what feels true for us. Not what was true for our parents or our grandparents, not what is true for all of those other members of the group that we identify with, whether it's a racial group or a nationality, those kinds of groupings. Because we are indeed, first of all, individuals. We are all individuals who are part of the human race. So this interesting nexus between cloning human beings, literally by scientists producing life out of the components, and the lack of spirituality that would be connected to that in that life that was created by human beings in that way. And also the cloning that has been going on and that continues to be pursued by various religions. Now, the information age and the spiritual evolution that's taking place also has to do with those who have not identified with organized religion as they pursued their spiritual path, but are also attempting to return to perhaps the old, shall we say, metaphysical or New Age or occult, those various terms that have been used for alternatives to organized religion. And those people, in their own way, while seeking a path for themselves that departs from organized religion, seem to be making a U-turn back to those old sources of information, most beautiful as they are, most healing as they have been. But to understand that in the information age, there now is more empowering information, so that we can take our power back not only from the traditional religious sources that we've given it to in the past, but also to the traditional non-religious sources. What I'm talking about as far as the non-traditional sources where we've given our power away, let's say the American Indian tradition, for instance, with their beautiful beliefs, and then lifetime after lifetime, we have participated in those beliefs. But rather than going back to those same beliefs, there is a vast arena of new information and new sources that can help us move forward toward the future. So I would suggest to anyone to explore the new sources of information. And again, there are bookstores and there are libraries that contain newer information from newer sources. The newer sources that I particularly am referring to, and the newer sources who have been my primary teachers over the last 15 to 20 years, are non-physical beings who share their information from higher levels of consciousness, from more enlightened levels of consciousness, who are channeled by others. Or one can learn to channel, as I have. I've learned to channel for my own personal growth and knowledge, and I do it privately for myself. But there are all manner of unseen friends who come from the belief system that supports that each of us creates our own reality, who supports us as human beings taking our power back. And those unconditionally loving teachers and friends that I'm referring to offer information that can help us go forward on our spiritual path and take back our power so that we can become powerful creators of our own reality. Everyone, no matter what you believe, in our physical world, every one of us creates our own reality. We either allow it by what we believe, by what our attitudes are, by our feelings, by what is stored in our subconscious and unconscious mind. We allow reality to unfold, to manifest, both in our personal lives and on the world stage. And we also create our reality by our choices and decisions, by actively doing things that manifest our reality. So we create our own reality either by allowing it or causing it, by what we do, by what we say, by the actions we take. To understand that we do this, there are indeed higher powers. We have higher powers of ourselves. And to open up to those higher powers so that they can help us co-create a new reality. To first heal the past, heal our own past connections to what we created in the past, and then to look forward to creating new realities, new spiritual realities that are based on love, compassion, gratitude, receiving, instead of struggle, control, fear, and pain. That's what this spiritual evolution is about. And every one of us can participate in it as fully as we each choose. It's an exploration, it's an adventure. And I thank you for your attention and say goodbye until the next time.